The term military analyst is not a legally protected term. It's not like doctor. It's more like economist. You know, any asshole can start calling themselves one and fart out a vaguely plausible opinion on the current situation.
Now you guys went and done it. This happy post-economist, post-banker type. Trump comes in here, starts doing tariffs on anybody, on everyone, and now you guys got a question about tariffs. And who are you going to contact? Oh, let's contact an economist. And now I got to work. I don't want to work. I wanted to yell about going to the gym and just ask her out more, bro, and buy my course. Can I be a grifter, hiking, grumpy 50-year-old bachelor playboy? Can I be a Democrat and not work for a living too? Who disturbs my slumber? And it's a Canuck of all things. Hi, Aaron. I sent you $25 for a Clary original as the world's greatest economist since the tragic death of Milton Friedman. Well, I think not Walter E. Williams, although he passed away too. Thomas Sowell is I think he beats me a little bit. Needs to weigh in on the absolute stupidity of the Canadian government's reaction to Donald Trump's demand resulting tariffs. Now, hold it. I know you're Canadian. I know you're like our special needs little brother. Okay, we get it. You're America's hat. We get it. You pay me $20. You don't ask me what the price of an original is. An original is $35. So I don't know where I know you're Canadian. Everything's free. Well, I'll just figure I'll give them $25. Don't I get a 30%, subsidy doesn't the Canadian government pay for the rest? What's going on? Why does our country suck? Where's Stephen Harper? For a Clary original. Originals also mean I get to talk about what I want. That's why they're relatively cheap. And then you tell me what I'm going to talk about. This is no longer an original. Needs to weigh in on the absolute stupidity of the Canadian government's reaction to Donald Trump's demand and resulting tariffs. It seems pretty simple to me. Secure the borders, meet your NATO target, and reduce the trade deficit. I'm sending 25, which is likely 300 Canadian as of Monday. Yeah, you guys are down to like 60 cents on the US dollar. Oh no, we one Canadian dollar gets 60 cents US. Under Stephen Harper, who you guys all kicked out, it was on par. It was on parity. I remember them days. Oh, shiny pony, trust fund baby Nepo. He said the nice thing. Man, your voters are stupid. To do my part in reducing the trade deficit, would enjoy to hear your take. All right, so I had to go and educate myself on what happened. So Trump, among a bunch of other countries, says, I'm slapping tariffs on you. And I'm like 98% certain this is just Trump negotiating, saying you're going to do these political things for me, or we're just going to start taxing you. And keep in mind, you're taxing the American public. We're going to make it more costly to sell your goods here. And that's going to result in less employment for you guys. It's going to hurt your economy. It's also going to hurt us. All right. We're going to have to pay a little bit more on imported goods. And I'll just tell you right now, tariffs and trade wars are generally bad things for all people involved. You lower standards of living. A lot of the increase in standards of living we got is through international trade. And I always like using the example, you like Swiss chocolates, you like Russian vodka, and you like, I'm trying to think what's in Europe that people, and German cars, right? Okay, now let's just shift that. So now you got Swiss cars. I don't think they make them. Now you got Russian chocolates, and now you got German vodka. All right. Trade is very important to standards of living. You get the best and the cheapest of all the globe has to offer. And simply, that's why they call it free trade, because it's just like, we ain't going to, it's like a big one global market. We're not going to artificially mess with the prices and all that. We all produce the best of what we do and we trade later. So philosophically, economically, I'm against tariffs. I'm happy he's doing it because I think the world needs to be reminded, you don't own us. That's basically it. And the whole world thinks, well, we could just send our degenerates there and you can give us free money and you owe us aid and you're going to defend us. Like, no, fuck you. We're done with this shit. And we've been being awfully nice for this globe for way too fucking long. And he's like, yeah, secure your border, Mexico. And if you don't, you're going to face a 25% tariff. And oh my God, they did it. And then Canada, I don't know why he did Canada. I think he said why. It's the military spending because you guys don't have a military. You've been relying on us for too damn long. For a while, it wasn't even necessary. I believe we were all friends in the 90s with the Russians, and now I guess we're back to being enemies again. And then the drug thing with the fentanyl. I'm like, okay, I didn't know I know that you Canadians. No, yeah, it was fentanyl. Didn't you guys create it? It was in a Canadian lab. And I knew you guys were suppliers of pot. I didn't know you were suppliers of fentanyl. In either case, Trump had non-economic requirements or desires of foreign nations, and this is his way to get it. I don't think he must have some economic advisors. That's not a good idea economically. He's aware of that. I think he's just getting sick and tired of America kind of being the big special needs kid that everyone picks on in the playground. Fuck that. It's time to start throwing some punches. You leave us the fuck alone. That's my speculation. But you want me to talk about Canada's response to it, which it kind of, for every country involved, they're kind of you're in a compromised situation. Everyone did basically what they should. They said, we're going to raise tariffs on you then. And I'm kind of surprised the dumb lady down in Mexico who got elected because she's rich and Nepo baby, and the real Nepo baby, like the epitomal Nepo baby you guys got. Even it fascinates me where it's like, where was that economist during your tax and spend shit? Now also like, yeah, this doesn't make sense economically. I'm like, but everything else you did up until this point did? I'm very confused. But yeah, the only real response is like, okay, we're gonna raise tariffs on you, and we're all gonna tighten our belts a little bit. In larger economies, you say, well, Canada's awfully small. It's small compared to the United States, but you're still a $2.1 trillion economy. You're not a small economy. Mexico's not a small economy. But this really has an effect on genuinely small economies, especially those that rely on exporting, like say Hong Kong or Singapore, or I'm trying to think of something that's just, Taiwan. But since we're larger economies that are pretty well diversified, we got a lot of land, it's not as bad. And I'll go through some numbers here that will help you understand. So I I can't really fault Trudeau's response. We're going to raise tariffs. Now, I'll show you why it's a joke. I'll show you why it's in everybody's best interest that instead of everyone thinking the United States is some kind of like common area that you all own, and you're going to start protecting your own borders and governing your own people and get them out of our country. Oh shoot, where was I going? The tariffs that Trudeau was going to have that would have an effect would be very industry specific. Nominally wouldn't have much of an effect on America. It's going to have an effect on you guys. But when they did the math, I guarantee you, here's what I remember my point. When they did the math, they're like, oh shit, we better just maybe do what Trump says on a political front because this is going to cost us a fuck ton of money. And so that's the practical factor where it's like, we have a political request, honor it, and then these tariffs go away. And it looks like that's the current state right now. But the tariffs, when Trudeau was implementing them, they were rational, but they would specifically affect the United States in a couple key areas. In other words, some, oh no, we don't get Windsor Canadian whiskey. Oh no, what will we do without that swill? We'll be just fine. Oh, iridium, rare earth metals, and the natural gas. That was a big one. I think we get most of our natural gas from you guys. And then lumber. I think we get 70% of our lumber from you guys. But keep in mind, we're a big enough country we can do it ourselves if we just get rid of the environmentalists. That would have very specific effects, negative ones in the United States in very specific fields like housing because of lumber, heat bills that would, so we'd have to use electricity or coal or nuclear or something like that. So it wouldn't be painless for the Americans. But it's academic now because it looks like Canada is going to quit being the, hey, we're just going to use your free shit, right? America is a communal resource for the globe. So it's moot. However, Trump was going to slap the tariffs on it, so there was no bad move. Canada and Trudeau, or the advisors to Trudeau, there was no bad move. They didn't have a dumb response. But let me explain why Canada, with a $2.1 trillion economy, that's kind of sizable for the world, why you don't want to fuck with the United States. So here's the numbers, all right? Canada has a $2.14 trillion economy. Trade between the United States and Canada was about 400 billion, 800 billion total, 400 going swapping it. And it's roughly on balance. The United States has a little bit of a deficit. I believe it was like 60 billion. So like 9%, maybe 10% on the trade. But it's not like what we have with China. All right. So it's more or less in balance. It's not like the US is bleeding dollars to you guys or anything. And we just print off more anyway, kind of like you guys do. Here's our paper. Here's our paper. Oh my God. Economic growth. We're all Paul Krugman now. So you're importing 400 billion from us. We're just going to keep the numbers at 400 billion, 400 billion, both ways. Okay. So we increase tariffs on that by 25%. That's $100 billion more. Now, trade is almost a full fifth of your economy, right? Your GDP is 2.1 trillion. Trade is $400 billion, right? That's 18% of your GDP is U.S. import exports, right? It's based in, you're paying the Americans for that. If we increase the cost of our exports, we increase the cost of your imports. We're importing from you, all right, by 25%. Let's say it's a linear association that you're going to have GDP drop, which we don't know whether it's a linear correlation. I'm just going to assume that for simplicity's sake. You're going to lose $100 billion in production, all right? And that $100 billion on the 2.14 trillion economy is 4.5%. That's fucking recession territory. Now, admittedly, it'd be a one-time deal, and it wouldn't speak to your core ability to produce GDP. But a 4.5% drop in GDP, that's harsh. You are immediately in recession territory, right? Now, what would your tariffs cost us? It's going to cost about the same, all right? Because we have equal trade, more or less, 400 billion. So now there's 25% less demand for our goods. So our demand for GDP goes down by $100 billion, same amount, because we have the same trade balance. But that's on a U.S. economy based of $27.36 trillion. And that $100 billion will shrink our economy by 0.3%, not 3%, 0.3%. That's like a fart in the wind to us. And it's just the disadvantage of having a tremendously larger trading partner, economically speaking. So, now Mexico probably be a little bit more, but in other words, what I'm saying is our tariffs will cost the Canadian economy 4.5% of your GDP. Your tariffs will cost us 0.3%. And I don't know if Trump's economists did the numbers on that. I think this was just, we're sick and tired of fucking around. It's time to find out. But that's where quote unquote, it would be dumb not to get counter tariffs. That was the only option they had, but to not comply with the political request of Trump. That's why. So it could cost you 4.5% of your GDP, or you can start protecting yourselves, or you can actually protect the border and do whatever. I don't know this fentanyl thing. I don't know much about it. If it's coming into the borders, knock it the fuck off. And I think it's really same thing with Mexico. Stop having people come here. Protect your border. Oh, and then his request was with the cartels, which debatably might have gotten some people elected. But yeah, that's what's happening. I think it's purely political. I don't think there's any economics here. I think he'd honor it. He's not bluffing. I don't think he's bluffing. He's pissed. The world really has to realize his own people, the Democrats, admittedly, if you could consider them human, tried to kill him twice. It's his last term. He's old. He don't give. Oh, and then New York tried to arrest him on a bunch of bullshit charges. He don't give a fuck. I would not be messing with this man, and I would be doing not everything. I don't want to become a tyrant either, but yeah, stop having illegal immigrants come to our country. Yeah, stop having drugs come into our country, and you're going to get off your ass and you're going to protect your side of the border. And if you don't, we're going to send you into a pretty bad recession. Americans would have to pay more, but they can sustain it more. Much larger, much more diversified economy here. So that's it. I hope that made sense. Did that make any sense? Ah, shit. I just deleted. Ah, damn it. What do I got linked below? I got something linked below. Bachelor Economics. You want to learn more about economics and investing? I have that link below. JJJS 279 Canadian. Our dollar was above the US dollar under Harper. Yeah, what was the peak? I remember when it reached parity. A bunch of articles came out. We're almost like, hey, look, Canada's finally catching up. They recovered from that Trudeau dipshit, and then you elected his son of Trudeau. Like, what's wrong? Are your women really just like, oh, pretty rich man? I recognize the name, and he said free shit. Naughty DJ Aftershock, $5. LPC Liberal is recovering hard in some polls. It seems like coming back from trailing 25 behind the CPC, mostly driven by rich Canadian baby boomers. I don't know. Is the LPC, because you guys got three. You got the one with the Indian guy who's just a rank Marxist. Just a putz. He's such a, I don't know his name. So at least there's recovery. Okay, hang on. What party is here? I gotta ask. What party does Trudeau represent? He is Trudeau. He is. Why can't I see? What party does Trudeau? Liberal Party of Canada. And you were saying, I get back here. The Liberal Party of Canada. Are they recovering hard? Yep. You Canadians just can't. You just hate success. You just hate yourselves. I mean, Minnesotans hate themselves. Don't get me wrong. And by the way, we'll take Alberta and we'll give you Minnesota, huh? They got the Target Corporation. You can have them. We'll do an old swap. Okay. Alberta and Saskatchewan. No, Alberta's north of Montana. Become North Montana. We'll just call it that. And then you can get all the other self-loathing Americans. I don't understand why people do not like success. Back from trailing 25% behind the CPC, mostly driven by rich Canadian baby boomers. It's pretty bad. I rolled at 4 a.m. 10 Canadian. Man, look, all these. Look, I got $10 Canadian from you guys. $2.79. I might be able to get myself a pack of gum with all this Canadian money coming in here. I kid. I feel bad for you guys that you're in that state. Oh my God. I rolled at 4 a.m. 10 Canadian. Go easy on us, Cappy. We're special needs. Help us find the short bus and we'll lick the windows. If I was Canadian, I'd do whatever I could to like at least get into the United States or someplace, at least go where it's warm. Yeah, okay, fine. You may not be able to move to a powerful first world economy, but at least you can go where it's warm. Seriously, I see the American complaints against us. I'm quite embarrassed by our leadership. I don't know if we got I mean, serious, all stuff set aside. I don't think we have any, like Americans anyway, like we've not like, oh, those damn Canadians. I think we're fine. Maybe a little bit like, hey, you got to protect yourselves. Like, we're sick and tired of coming to your rescue. All right, go spend some money. That's nice that we afford you your national healthcare system because you don't spend jack on your own defense. But can you protect yourselves? Do you mind doing that? That's about the only complaint I think we'd have. If anything, we feel bad for you, where it's like, man, you guys got this boner for socialism, for trust fund baby socialists. You do, just these rich, snooty assholes. All right, there you go. Questions, answers, assholeconsulting.com. We'll see you guys later. Toodles.